Hi, I'm Tom Merritt. Join me this week on Aussie Tech Heads.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 334 of Aussie Tech Heads. It's, what is the date today? It's the 28th of March. That's right. It's Good Friday tomorrow. So, first of all, happy Easter, everyone, and stay safe on the roads because it's always it's a terrible time on the roads. Very, very busy. I think everyone, look, I've been driving around today, and everyone, I think, has left for holidays today. Like, it's just massively busy, especially going south. I don't know, everyone's getting out of Queensland. Can't think why. Why would you be doing that? So, all right, so welcome, everyone. Quite a big show tonight, and joining us to host is only one other host tonight, and it is Shayne. Hi, Shayne. How you doing?
Good, Glenn. Hi, everyone. How are we all? Or one of you?
Oh, yeah, I'm good, thanks. And, yeah, that's good. And you got the Easter for those on the audio. Shayne's got Easter eggs behind him, sitting on the wall behind him. So looking good. You're going to be tucking into some of those on when is it? Sunday, I think Sunday.
Yeah, we're not a big egg chocolate family because my youngest, he's allergic to dairy products. The oldest never really. He's just not his thing. So it's probably rude to eat in front of them, even though I quite enjoy them.
Oh, I guess so. Now, thanks for those that have joined us in the lounge. As always, it's aussietechheads.com.au/live, and that's every Thursday night, from 7:30 p.m. Queensland time, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So you can work that out wherever you are in Australia and indeed the world.
Unless Doctor Who's on.
Oh, that's right. If Doctor Who's on at the cinemas, I'm not here. We'll have to postpone. That was good. I think that was I think I mentioned that before. So that was good. That was not too bad. You know, I've never seen it before on the big screen, and you know, that was good. And also, we've got the radio. It's up and running. It's pumping. It's actually pumping now. It's got quite a couple of good shows on there. I think all up, it's around about 4 hours, I think, before it repeats. So that's not too bad. It's got our shows on there, of course. We've got a couple of new shows that have come on. A couple of good tech shows from New Zealand Geeksphere TV, and also the Boys of Tech. So another couple of tech shows for you to get your teeth into. And and Osdroid. Welcome to Osdroid to the radio, Shoutcast Radio. Now, if you want to know how to get your ears onto that sort of stuff, you can go to your iOS device or your Android, download a Shoutcast player, and just search for Aussie Tech Heads, and you'll get that. I put a couple of short, brief instructions up on the webpage. Just go to the aussietechheads.com.au/podcast, and you'll get the page. And you'll see there's a button on the front. You know, radio or Tech Heads Radio or something like that. And yeah, fine and dandy. You'll be able to get there. You can listen to it live off the page as well if you haven't got a mobile device. So go and check that out because it's we're getting a few good shows together now, and I'm happy that we've got a diverse group of shows. So that's good. Also, what else is going on? The Aussie Tech Heads hosting. We also offer anyone that wants it professional, affordable, fast Australian servers. Hosting. So if you need a web page like Milo, one of our great listeners, and I think he'll be on later tonight. He's going to talk about a couple of things he's been doing, and he's loving it. He loves it. He gets in there, he creates his WordPresses and all that sort of stuff. He's got 2. He's going crazy. So that's good. So if you need one plans, I think a decent starter plan, $6.95, but there is an economy plan, but you're looking at $6.95 a month, and we also register your domain or transfer it across, whatever. So it's aussietechheads.com.au/hosting for that one. So come and have a bit of a peek at it.
Can I ask you a question about the hosting?
You certainly can. I've been waiting 6 weeks for a question about hosting. Yes.
See, the ad's paying off.
It is.
You know how you offer things like Drupal and WordPress and all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Whose responsibility is it to make sure that that's the latest version?
Yours.
Is it yours or the customer's? Is it mine?
Yeah, the customer.
If I was the customer.
Yep. Everything is I provide the host. If it's your responsibility to make sure you back it up. Of course, if the unlikely event, or that you may lose it, then you've got to make sure you've got a backup. The server does back itself up. There are backups, but there'll be fees, unfortunately, to try and get that out because it's not a 2-minute job. It's a big job. Yeah, but you should, if you've got a backup of your file structure and your database, you can restore your page like literally probably in about 5 minutes. It's pretty easy. But you've got to make sure you have a backup for sure. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Oh, good. And speaking of Drupal, Joomla, WordPress, all of that sort of stuff, you can install it all for free. There's scripts there. You just click on the button, just go through where do you want to put it, what directory, blah, blah, blah. It's dead set simple. You push go, and then it'll tell you where, it'll tell you where to go to get the admin page and all that. It's dead set simple. So I'm always here if you need a hand anyway. Support teams, just always, on guard. All right. So we've got a big show tonight. We've got heaps of stories. And I thought, look, we've been talking about doing some interviews and some specials. Well, tonight, our first one, we're going to, so what we're going to do is, because Shayne's done a great job, he's gone out and he's got some great interviews coming up. And tonight we've got our first one. And do you want to talk about it, Shayne? You can talk about the first one if you like.
Yeah, sure. Do we want to tell them who it is, or do we want to keep that a secret a little bit longer?
No, we'll tell them who it is. We've got it coming up. So, what we might do is, we looked at the interviews. Initially, we set out to do, like maybe a 10 or little 15-minute interview, so it would just slip into the show. But Shayne's gone crazy. The guests love him, and they've come out to be these really, really great interviews and in depth, and and they've gone for about an hour. So obviously we can't sort of package them into the show, but what we're going to do is we're going to play you like the first 20 minutes. Okay, so we're going to play the first 20 minutes in the show, and the rest of it you can just go to the webpage and grab the rest of it. It's a YouTube video, but it will also be up in audio only as well. Okay, so the audio only will pop into the RSS feed just as the normal show. So it'll just be like another Aussie Tech Heads. It'll just download automatically into the RSS feed, and that'll start happening tomorrow. But yes, so Shayne, who is your first guest? And we will get on to that straight away.
Yes, the first guest is Tom Merritt. He's famous for working obviously on Twit, the This Week in Tech Network, with Leo Laporte. He's a journalist. He's got about 20 years experience in tech journalism, and that was probably the main theme of the actual interview. I mean, we covered personal stuff that he was happy to share, and then I kind of asked him questions about journalism and around things about his shows and how he puts them together and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right. So, without further ado, we'll go across to the video, and so as we said, we'll play it for about 20 minutes, and then the rest of it, I think, then we'll just play it. We'll just send it out through the feed. But it's great. So we want to just thanks Tom for his time, and hopefully this will work.
I'm here today with Tom Merritt, famous for shows like TNT, Twit, Sword and Laser. What's the show that you do, Tom, that is the future-based show, or you used to do?
I used to do a show called Forecast. Yeah, we don't do that one anymore, but we just tried to predict the future.
Okay. So, like I said, Tom's joined us. You've already heard his voice, so thanks for your time, Tom, and welcome to Aussie Tech Heads.
Oh, I'm honored to be the lead-off hitter in your interview series here. That's cool.
According to your Wikipedia page, which I'm hoping is accurate, because all my research will go out the window if it's not. You were born in Greenville, Illinois. Is that correct?
That's right. That Wikipedia page among Wikipedia pages has actually got a high percentage of accuracy. The folks that keep on it are fairly attentive. So most of that stuff I think is correct.
That says that your father was a food scientist, and you've gone into technology and journalism in particular. Where's the connection, if there is one?
Yeah, I don't know that there is one. I mean, my dad worked for Pet Milk. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but they were available all around the world, condensed milk, evaporated milk. And I think the brand probably still exists in a few markets here and there, especially in South America. But at one point in the 1980s, he was the world's leading expert on evaporated milk. And so he would go to Brazil and Italy and Germany and all over the place, visiting plants, helping them set up their evaporated milk plants. And he worked on other foods. We'd always have like weird snack foods around the house that he'd be testing. So I later realized when I grew up that I was essentially a test subject for him. But we had like apple soda and ice cream and tacos because Old El Paso was owned by Pet. So that was fun. That was interesting. There's probably an underlying love of science in common between me and my dad, for sure. And when I was growing up, I got a computer, and my dad was instrumental in encouraging me to work on it and play with it. I've told a story over and over again about how I wanted to get an Atari 2600, and I saved up the money. And when we got to the store, he said, well, you can either buy the Atari 2600 or I will give you an extra $100 and you can buy the TI 99 4A. And so he kind of nudged me towards a more serious machine that way. So yeah, his love of science definitely influenced me. And I've always been into entertainment and writing and all that sort of thing. So to be able to luck into a job that allows me to do the things I love with the stuff that I love is pretty amazing.
Okay, excellent. So that brings me on to my kind of next point, and you touched on it just in that last part of your answer. So you've done journalism, obviously. You've been to university and got a journalism degree. I believe you went to the University of Houston. Is that correct?
No, University of Illinois for undergrad. I went to the University of Texas in Austin for graduate school.
Okay. I knew there was a Texas connection in there somewhere. So you've obviously done journalism. You've done work in front of the camera. You've done work behind the camera. You've done this analysis kind of reporting. You've also done on the field reporting, like you've done CES coverage, that sort of thing. You're also an author, I believe. You write books. Tell us a little bit
self-published.
Tell us a little bit about the authoring.
Yeah, that's more of a hobby than anything. Maybe someday I'll get good enough at it to actually send stuff to agents or anything. But I've written a couple of novels. One I started writing in like 1993. It took me forever to get through. And I take part in National Novel Writing Month every year in November, and knock out 50,000 words that then I've got sitting on my hard drive and can try to whip together. I've actually put out one other novel, United Moon Colonies, that came from that. And then this last year, I actually played around with doing something serious called the Chronology of Tech History, where I just took my interest in finding out what happened when in tech history on certain dates, and I put that up as a blog entry every day. So I took that and put it in chronological order and put it out as a book. And I have plans to actually take that and do a much better, higher quality version. Right now you can get a paperback self-published version if you're just interested in having the book, and that's great. But I want to do like an illustrated version and something that's hardback and a little more of a good shelf item than just a trade paperback book.
Yeah, just interesting you're kind of into the tech history, because one of the segments that I do on the Aussie Tech Heads podcast is actually this week in tech history. And I have actually pinched a couple of things from your blog as well as Wired. So, thanks for doing that for me.
Yeah, no worries, man. That's kind of the idea. I mean, I put the thing out Creative Commons too. So if you go to archive.org and search Chronology of Tech History, you can get the whole text. And please feel free to crib from that. They're historical facts. Like, nobody has a copyright on them. And I think the more people that find out and know about this stuff, the better.
Excellent. Okay, cool. All right. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you before we kind of before we went down the path of your authoring was, as I mentioned, you've done front of the camera, behind the camera, the authoring, the editing, producing. What do you actually put on government paperwork as your occupation?
It's a good question. I think I had to do this for something recently, and I feel like it changes every time I do it. I used to put web producer back when I was the website producer at techtv.com, and that seemed the most accurate. And then for a long time I would put editor when I was working at CNET. Even though I was doing a lot of video and audio, my official title there was executive editor. So I've put that. I've put writer, although I feel a little like a fraud, like I'm trying to pretend like I'm some famous author or something. And I've put host for, that's actually my title at Twit, because I host Tech News Today and Frame Rate there. But yeah, I don't know. Podcaster is probably the most accurate thing, because that's most of what I do.
Do you get anyone kind of questioning when you put something vague? Like, I mean, obviously it means something to me and people in the tech industry, but to a immigration officer, and they look at that, they go, "What's that?"
With immigration officers especially, right? It's kind of hard to tell what they're thinking. They're always kind of raising their eyebrow at pretty much everything you say. I came back from England one time, and they asked me if I had bought anything, and I said some overly priced shoes, and they went, overly priced shoes, as if that was the most suspicious thing in the world. But yeah, no, it's never caused an issue or anything.
Again, more about your history and your background. You've worked for companies like CNET. You've worked for Twit. I believe you do some freelance work as well. So can you tell me the pros and cons, I guess, for working for your big organisations like your CNET, as well as your smaller organisations like, well, Twit's probably not that small anymore, but it started out small.
Yeah, Twit's getting bigger all the time. But yeah, it's still not the same as working for like Ziff Davis back in the 90s, which is when I got my first big technology journalism job, or CNET, which is now part of CBS, the broadcast network. So it's huge. And the nice thing about those companies are the resources you have at your disposal. So that's not just money, but also manpower. You know, there's all kinds of people you can rely on for expertise and for questions. There's name recognition, and that definitely opens doors. You know, if you don't have to explain what CNET is inside the technology journalism world, everyone knows what it is. And so with Twit, sometimes you'd be surprised. Some people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm a big fan," right? If they know about it, but a lot of people don't. And so they're like, "What Twit? What is that? That's an insult." And you have to, "Oh, it's This Week in Technology." And so you know, there's some definite pros to the big world, but I kind of prefer the smaller organization because of the flexibility it affords. When you get too big, you start to find it harder to innovate, harder to push your ideas through. When you're in a smaller community or a smaller organization, you have a lot more that you can just do. And that's the downside too, is that you have to do it. There's not a team to do it, but you can just do it. You don't have to go to a meeting and get sign off and get approval and allocate the resources and wait for 5 other people to do their part and misunderstand it and then explain it and all of that. It's just you and maybe 1 or 2 other people, and you just make it happen, which is the startup culture in technology. That's why all these small startups seem more nimble, and it's what all of these kind of middle-aged startups like Google and Facebook are starting to deal with, is how do we preserve that nimbleness we had when we were small, now that we're these huge behemoths?
Okay. So just on that, the flexibility and the immediacy, I guess, of the internet, keeping with the journalism theme, do you think that journalism has either improved or declined since internet technology and the 24-hour news cycle and that sort of thing?
I think journalism has maintained, you know, a relatively stable level of credibility throughout its entire life. Going back to the guys who would walk around shouting out the news on street corners, through yellow journalism and tabloids, on into television news and now the internet. Everybody likes to think that their particular era is special in either how bad it is or how good it is, and I don't think it's either. You know, you have change, and when you have change, certain things suffer temporarily. So does the quality of your daily newspaper go down recently? Possibly. Depends on where you live, but quite possibly it has. That's because it's an old model that hasn't yet adapted. But has the quality of tech journalism gone up? I think immensely since the 1980s because of the flexibility that the internet provides. And so when I hear people talking about, well, journalism has to be saved, journalism can't survive in a world of free news on the internet, I look at things like tech journalism and I look at things like blogs and lots of niche topics, and I see that there's very high quality stuff being done and making money, not making scads of money maybe, but it's you know, able to stay afloat. And I think that just shows that the old models that were doing the old kinds of journalism are going to take longer to adapt, and I think they will adapt. And I don't think high quality journalism goes away. In fact, I think we might have access to higher quality journalism overall, because instead of relying on your local television, radio, and news source to kind of bring you everything, you can rely on a global source that has the best people in the best places. It's going to fluctuate in quality, and you're always going to have crappy stuff. You're always going to have people doing the kind of news that's shallow, that appeals to the lowest common denominator, and we've always had that. I mean, that's what the tabloids were about in the late 1800s. So I don't think that's new. It just goes in waves, and sometimes you'll have a period where higher quality seems to be winning out, and then it'll go back the other way. But overall, I really do feel it remains constant.
like you said, there's different size organisations, there's different funding, resources behind some, and they have their own niche market. So that brings me on to the next thing that I wanted to ask you about. You've got the big organisations, you've got your CBSs, you've got your Wall Street Journals, your Rupert Murdoch organisations, and then you've got the smaller ones like Twit, TechCrunch, the independent bloggers. Do you see a time where the big guy is going to gobble up the little guy?
Yeah, and I think you already see that happening. I think the little guy has a better chance to stick around independently and find things that will be valuable more so than in the past because of the accessibility of the publishing platform, and that being the internet, of course. In the past, you know, we've said the same things about printing brochures, right? In the 1600s and 1700s, it was the pamphleteers were going to drive out everything, and of course, it consolidated into large organizations. Some of those large organizations are going to die, as they always do, and some are going to adapt, and some are going to acquire other smaller entities that will kind of take them over from within. And we'll get a whole new setup. I think retail kind of paved the way here. If you look at the places that you can buy things online, it's a mixture. You've got your Amazons and your eBays that are brand new products of the internet, but you also have lots of other established retail that has been around in brick and mortar forever that have finally kind of figured out how to catch up and sell things over the internet as well. And so I think you see that. You're going to see that with media. You're going to see some of the big guys go out of business. You'll see some of the big guys gobble up a lot of the small guys. You'll see things like AOL, which here in the United States was an internet service provider for years, still is to a certain extent, but it's also much more a media conglomerate, and it's bought Engadget and TechCrunch and the Huffington Post, and it's creating a whole brand new association of these brands and a brand new big guy, possibly, at least in certain areas of journalism. So I think I want to go back and emphasize that I think that you will see more successful small operations than you have in the past because of the fact that I can do this in my basement of my house, right? I mean, I could set up some lights and a camera and an internet connection and broadcast. That wasn't possible before. It was much more costly. And now, since it's not costlier, more people can do it. But there's still something to be said of large organizations having the resources to push their message out farther, to find higher quality people and put them in a room together and make higher quality things. And I think that will continue to happen.
Okay. I just want to backpedal a little bit and talk more about the journalism itself. There seems to be, especially in the tech industry, there seems to be two kind of camps. You've got your frontline reporters that are out there reporting the news kind of as it happens, and then you've got the more of your analytical news reporter journalists. I guess at the moment you're probably more the latter with the work that you do with Twit. You kind of analyse someone else's reporting and someone else's coverage. You've also
Definitely
done the other style of journalism as well. You've been on the front line with covering CES and that sort of thing. Do you have a preference? Do you like one over the other?
Yeah, obviously, I like the sitting back and analyzing because that's what I do now, day in and day out. And I think there's advantage to that. I think it can get a bad name if somebody who's doing the analysis wants to tout themselves as if they are breaking the news. And we try never to do that on Tech News Today. We always credit our sources. We always point to those sources, and we're very careful to get multiple sources on things, not just primary sources, but secondary sources too. We kind of know which organizations are good at this and which aren't. So when we see something on a CNET, an Ars Technica, an Engadget, then we know, okay, we've got three pretty reputable sources. When we see it on some other sources, even if it's in multiple places, that we know are like, those guys report things that end up being untrue, we tend to ignore it less. So I feel like our value on Tech News Today is to provide insight because we're doing this every day and not everybody can, to say like, okay, based on all of the things we see every day, this is how it fits together. Let's put it in some context for you, in the context of other tech news and in the context of how we live. And it's also to curate and say, you know what, I think these are probably the 10 buzzworthy stories that we're going to give you the headlines on. And these are the stories that I think deserve the most discussion. And that's what me and my co-hosts do. On the other end, you couldn't do that without the frontline reporting, without the people out there actually conducting interviews, actually fact-checking, getting sources that are reliable and putting out quality stories. So, believe me, if one of us has to go, it's me. The Ars Technicas, the CNETs of the world should stick around because they do a great job. And that's what the backbone of journalism that makes it possible for a more entertaining show that is more about analysis to exist, like Tech News Today.
Oh, there you go. End of part one. You just want it to keep going, don't you? It's a great.
I was engrossed.
It is. It's a great interview. Well done, Shayne. You can see more of that, as I said. Just go to the AussieTechHeads.com.au webpage /podcast webpage, and there's a new section there up in the menu called Specials. Now, if you just go to the Specials, you'll be able to see that interview in full. And don't forget, also the audio will be popped into the Aussie Tech Heads feed from tomorrow. Okay, well done. All right.
Bills in the mail.
Yeah, that's right. That's what Tom said.
Yeah.
All right. What are we up to now? We're going to get into some news, I guess. It's high time we did that. There's been a bit of news this week, and none other than probably the biggest story, which happened yesterday. I think it was yesterday, was the biggest cyber attack in history. Now, this is what it's being called. Yes, so it's pretty massive. I think it was a big story, and Shayne and myself, actually, we both got this story this week. So what did you want to kick it off, Shayne, with what was happening?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we got the exact same version or anything, but I got mine from news.com.au. Basically, there's this big email filtering, and it's a company called Spamhaus, and they basically have like whitelist, blacklist, and that's how they kind of do their spam filtering and that kind of thing. And from what I understand, they and actually I was talking to my boss about it today, and I said, who did they kind of annoy? Because it wasn't actually in my story, but from what I understand, they actually annoyed, for the want of a better word, some mob in Holland, I believe, and they blacklisted them, and they sort of basically got the word out saying that this mob in Holland, are doing sort of things that are a little bit kind of less than legal, and the people that were using this service in Holland basically said, all right, we'll give you a denial of service attack, and apparently at its peak, it was getting something like 300,000 hits a minute or 300,000 hits a second.
No, it was massive. It was more than that. It was yes, it was a cyber attack originally targeting a single company. And it's now being described as the biggest denial of service attack in the history. It's affected pretty much just the most of Europe. That Spamhaus you're talking about now, our webpage, the AussieTechHeads.com.au webpage, it has something similar. I don't think it's from this Spamhaus place, but it's got something similar because a year or so ago we were the subject of spam. The site went crazy with with scripts and everything on the server. So the server said to me, well, you're going to have to shut this down, and because traffic was just spewing out of it. I was doing like 2 gig, 4 gig a day, of just traffic going out, and I was pulling my hair out. So I implemented something like this, what this Spamhaus offers, and it goes away and checks the IP address before we'll let it through in. So it's a good thing. But anyway, so Spamhaus apparently blocked. They blocked some emails or some sort of traffic from a place called. No, they blacklisted Cyberbunker. That's right. Now, this place called Cyberbunker, which was a controversial web hosting company. Now, Cyberbunker hasn't taken responsibility for the attacks. Security firm Cloudflare has been defending Spamhaus by spreading the attacks across multiple data centers, and this technique is used to help keep a website online, even if hit by the maximum amount of traffic that a DDoS can generate. Now, the DDoSes have... So, if you want, like, a DDoS attack is like... there's spam and whatever, and these baddies, they take over all, like, a bunch of computers, and say it's called like a botnet, and they'll all go and send a query to a server. And sometimes this can be, as Shayne was saying, like thousands of computers, all at the same time just going, I want to query querying spam house, and obviously with all these queries, the true traffic
It can't do what it's supposed to do.
That's right. The true traffic's not getting through, and then it just cripples the system. So these DDoS attacks have a natural cap. I don't know why they've got a natural cap, which is around 100 gigabytes a second. Okay, so that's a fair bit. That's a big DDoS attack. But this one apparently was so ferocious and complex, it was going in at about 300 gigabytes per second. So that's just going crazy. Some other stats that came out of this story that have the hackers realised they couldn't knock Spam House offline. So that's something, isn't it? Really, like they can't knock it offline. So obviously they got some huge kick-ass stuff going on in the background to keep it up. It was protected by Cloudflare, as we said. They chose a different tactic, targeting Cloudflare's own network. So they've hit the Spam House. They couldn't bring Spam House down. So then they go, we're going to go and get we'll get the Cloudflare stuff. So they targeted Cloudflare's own network providers by exploiting a known fault in the DNS system. Now, the interesting thing is they stopped going after the Spam House directly and they started going all the steps upstream, said Cloudflare. So Cloudflare explained the good news about an attack like this is it's really woken up a lot of the networking industry, and these things that have been talked about for quite some time are now being implemented. So good. Good. The DDoS might be a thing of the past someday in the future in some tranquil repose. But yeah,
They'll have something else by then, though.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so it was pretty massive. It only really, I think it just affected Europe the most, which was in some instances good. But yeah, nasty things. Nasty things. So did you have any more to add?
We've got a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah, did you have any more to add with that one? Because I think that's
only, yeah, the only thing I was kind of going to do was, I mean, and you touched on it a little bit, but was explain the distributed denial of service attack a little bit more. Or the fact that the 2Ds kind of stand for distributed denial of service attack. In the old days when they first started doing it, before they had the technology around to do the botnet stuff, it was just like one computer kind of just whacking into the server or whatever it is they wanted to knock out. But now, like you said, and in this particular case, they I don't know how many botnets or how many computers they had in the botnet that they were actually attacking, using for the attack. But obviously, it was a fair amount to kind of even out the load, and because of what the service does, this Spam House, it had kind of a collateral effect on, like you said, it affected most of Europe, not because Spam House is kind of that prevalent. It's just that a lot of apparently a lot of hosting companies and companies in general use this Spam House as part of their protection, like you said that you did with yours when you had the issue about a year ago. And by some by kind of association, I guess that's why it affected most of Europe, like like your story said.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, they're nasty little things, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's time that, I don't know, why can't the smart guys and the good guys, just find out who's doing these, trace it all back to somewhere and chuck them in the can or something. But anyway, well, it'll never stop.
I mean, the conspiracy theorists reckon that you've got your white hat hackers and your black hat hackers and then the grey one's kind of in the middle. But there's the conspiracy theorist that says that the people like your malware companies and anti-malware and anti-spyware and all that kind of stuff hire people to actually create these problems just to kind of test out their stuff and make people buy their stuff.
That's right, and probably also just to dump a few viruses and malware out there, so they go, "Hey, we're still needed. We've got malware, malware scanners. We're still needed. Look at this bad thing. Look at Melissa over here." Yeah, all right. So that was the big bad story. Now, also, what we forgot to do, Shayne, is at the start of the show, we forgot to do. I think you've got a few on this or through this week in tech history. I think we pulled out a couple, because you've got like 1,000 there, but we pulled a couple out. And what have we got? So now I think you mentioned to Tom there that he's got a chronology chronology of tech. What a hard word. We need the
Yeah, it is, yeah.
pronunciator, but I did get it right, so we don't need his services just yet. But it came close, I tell you. So the chronology of tech. So Tom's got a site up on somewhere. Where's his site?
Like you said in the first part of the interview we watched, it's if you just do, I just googled it, but basically it's part of archive.org.
Right.
And if you do a search on there for chronology of tech, then it's free to download. It's Creative Commons. As long as you kind of just, if you're going to use it like we do, we just give him credit to say that it's it's Tom Merritt's work, which it is.
All right. And what do you got? What do you got for us? What tidbits?
In the thousands of things that happened this week, the highlights are March 23, the first department store elevator for passengers was installed at EV Horwood and Co. Horwout, that'll do.
Who knows? In New York.
And in New York City, and it was a significant development towards building skyscrapers. Obviously, that was one of the things that was keeping buildings low to the ground because people couldn't be bothered walking.
So 1857, when was electricity built or introduced?
Introduced? Yeah, they built it.
When did they build that electricity thing? When was that electricity built? Well, I don't know.
Oh, that made me cough.
Obviously
before I.
So it must have been an electric elevator, surely.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been a couple of blokes pulling on ropes.
Well, who knows back then? I remember my grandfather telling me stories, which is when he was a kid, which was like 1900 and teens, whatever, like 1912 or whatever it was, and not even up to the 1920s and whatever. They never had refrigerators. They had the box and they put the block of ice in the bottom of it. So
yeah, they could be already safe.
Yeah, that's what maybe. But they don't have fridges, but they got lifts. Okay. What else have we got going?
All right, and March 24, 1896, A.S. Popov supposedly made the first radio transmission in human history. Popov is said to have transmitted.
I hope that's not what he did.
No.
His first transmission.
Transmitted the words Heinrich Hertz, which got mentioned a couple of weeks ago.
Good.
He's the guy that invented named the measure frequency thing, yeah. One of the buildings to another campus of St. Petersburg University to the assertion, though the assertion was not published until later because of the need of the
military secrets.
Military secrets.
Oh,
obviously the military kind of jumped on that. And obviously it sounds like he's Russian as well.
Yeah, well, I hope he took his time, make a good job of it all. And March 26, 1973.
Yeah, when I was doing this at work, which I shouldn't have been, but anyway, I was doing it at work. I was talking
Don't
to
tell the boss.
No, I said to the boss, Larry Page was born, on March 26, 1973. That makes him the same age as me. I said, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
How come he's got squeens of dollars and I'm doing what I'm doing?
Oh, no, he's got thousands, hasn't he? Thousands and millions. Probably billions. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, March 26th. So happy birthday, Lazar. And send some our way, will you? That'd be nice. Yeah. All right. Now, stay tuned for the coming up in the rest of the show. We've got another couple of Runtastic codes to give away, and also we're going to take a call from Milo later on, who's been using the Runtastic app on his phone. So that's all good and good stuff. All right. Now let's go on and let's keep going with another story. I'll have another one, a little quick one here. I think just to relax everyone. Disney is not releasing hand-drawn feature films in the next 2 years. Are they saying that we're not drawing any more cartoons? So that's where that's going. So 2 years is a long time to be not doing any hand-drawn animation.
Does that mean that they're still going to produce them, but they're not going to be hand-drawn? They're going to be more computerized?
Yeah, it shows a mainstream trend away from drawing by hand, even digitally, and towards modelling characters using computers. First seen in Toy Story when it was released in 1995. The technology is moving fast and is opening up technical possibilities that were merely aspirations a decade ago. So I guess everything moves on. It's I don't know, cartoons. Like probably for most of us here, we've grown up with the Bugs Bunny and all that, and even the old Disney ones, all hand-drawn. You used to draw them in the corner of your book, and flick the pages and make your own cartoon, all that sort of stuff. But
I remember doing that.
Yeah, I did one the other day. And, but, you know, it's, so hand-drawn's on hold, especially from the Disney house anyway. So there you go. That's a little short one.
Although Toy Story isn't Disney, that was Pixar, which was at the time owned by Steve Jobs.
But it's all Disney now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they ended up selling it to Disney or something. I think Steve was still. I think he was still working there pretty much right up until he got crook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Kind of flip-flop between there and it's been a while since I've listened to the book, but I think that's how it kind of went.
Now, Channel 9, I don't know if you guys follow the footy. Probably, Shayne, you probably don't do too much over there. You don't follow NRL, do you, over there in Perth? Not much going on.
I was wondering what you were referring to as football. No, we follow the proper code, AFL.
Okay. Now, Channel 9 has made the decision. Now, actually, I think we talked about this the other week. I'm not sure about, all the betting and all this going on in the footy.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah, so you probably, as I said, you probably don't watch the football NRL too much. But over here in the eastern, New South Wales and Queensland, the Tom Waterhouse. Now, do you know who he is? Is he on TV over there? Okay, so he actually...
Yeah, he does the same sort of thing in the news.
Oh, rightio. So he jumps into after the game, he'll jump on the panel with Ray Warren, Phil Gould and whoever else is there, and they start talking about the horses and tracks and races and blah, blah, blah. And there's been a bit of a outcry about it. So I only wanted this to be a really quick one, but Channel 9's made the decision to put him on the bench from his NRL commentary team, because apparently it's blurring the lines. Now, where did he go? There he is. Now, because it looks to limit the damage of the public backlash against the incorporation of gambling into live sport. Nine has conceded the line between bookmaker and commentator had been blurred following his appearances during its first round coverage of the NRL. The Sydney Morning Herald had reported that Nine has introduced a graphic informs viewers that Waterhouse is a sports betting operator, not a Channel 9 personality. Well, there you go. It's not... Blind Freddy could probably see that. I don't know why we need a graphic, but as long as it sits around about later than 10:30 at night, fine. Did you have another story, Shayne?
Yeah, I got heaps. All right, so what I might do, I had the Apple one lined up, but I might actually go back to a one that's kind of not technically tech, but it was a funny story anyway. There's a store apparently in Brisbane that is charging patrons $5 just for looking to offset losses from internet shopping. To make the basically it goes on to say that it's I believe it's a fashion house. If you ask, like you go into a store and the sales assistant will come up to you and you says, "No, I'm just looking," that's kind of fine. But if you start asking questions about it, you are then charged $5. And if you end up buying the product, you get the $5 back. Now, I don't know what's worse, the fact that this lady's charging it or the fact that she's actually had people pay the $5.
I think that this has been happening for a while in Sydney. I've heard about this a while ago. It must have just made its way to Brisbane. But realistically, it's probably not if you're a retailer, it's probably not a bad idea. I've done it, and I'm sure a lot of people have done it. They've gone in, tried on the shoe, come home, jumped on eBay. Thanks very much. I'm sure a lot of people have done it. So look, I think by doing the $5 thing, I could see that's where it's probably going to go. That's where it's going to go. When you want to buy a laptop, where do you go? You go to Harvey Norman or somewhere. You suss them all out because they're all there in a row. And then you come back home on the internet. Oh, let buy from this joint in Sydney, this warehouse. That's just what happens. Look, that's fair. You don't like that, or what do you think about that?
It's just that she's trying to do it to save money and make money, yet she's making more admin work for herself.
Well, the story goes on and it says, as of the 1st of February, the store will be charging people $5 fee per person for just looking. The $5 fee will be deducted when the goods are purchased. There has been a high volume of people who use the store, blah, 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 blah. According to the Times, 4 people have paid $5, meaning her policy has earned $20. Well, yeah. So does that mean it's earned $20? That means so these people paid, looked, tried on, left, and didn't buy nothing, because otherwise it wouldn't have been. She would have had to give the $5 as off the price. She wouldn't have made any money anyway out of that. So out of that project. But anyway, that's how it goes.
Yeah,
There's a full interview if you if you're interested at the Brisbane Times, and there's a link in the show notes. As always, show notes aussietechheads.com.au. Go around there somewhere, show notes, and it's got links to everywhere where these stories come from. As Tom said, we've got to try and credit the where they come from, and I know we don't do that over the audio, but they're always in the show notes, or just about always. Now, Microsoft Windows Phone. I know we're jumping around a bit here tonight, but there's a raft of games that have arrived for Windows Phone, including Chaos Rings and Gravity Guy 2. There you go. See, I'm not a gamer, but I guess some people would probably like it. Game Developers Conference is in full swing in San Francisco this week. The GDC. The highlight of the bunch is Gravity Guide 2. Now, apparently this is a sequel to a hugely successful and popular platform, Gravity Guide. So for the next month, the sequel is available only on Windows Phone. So obviously they're trying to, get the jump. Now, Microsoft. Now, other titles arriving today are already proven successes on other platforms. Chaos Rings, which is apparently only available on the Windows Phone 7.5. Sixth Planet and Orcs Must Survive. There you go. If you're in the games, suss them out.
Never heard of any of those games.
No, neither have I. Now, I've got another little Microsoft story. And it's a nasty one, eh? Hey, Melbourne market pirates busted by Microsoft. Microsoft sleuths. Oh, how do you get a job being a Microsoft sleuth? That must be that'd be great, wouldn't it? That's probably why we pay so much. Did you catch the inquiry through the week? Microsoft, Apple, and Adobe all fronted the inquiry. It was streamed live. I watched a fair bit of it. Adobe sort of had nothing. They didn't do nothing for me. They sort of wiggled around and,
Well, they basically said because they offer us extra services or something, that's why it costs more.
Yeah, I think the guts. I missed the Apple one, so I can't comment on the Apple one. The Adobe one, he sort of ducked and weaved, and he's going, well, it's all going in the cloud anyway, so who cares about the box product? We're competitive in the cloud. He kept. I would go as far as to say purposely missing the point of the question and where it was going. But there's nothing like guts like Microsoft. They just come in and said, well, we charge what we want because we can. Can't argue with that. You just cannot argue with that. These people are out to make money. Of course, if we are going to pay, for the product and an inflated price, well, we're going to pay for it. Doesn't mean that I don't want to see them cheaper.
What we got?
Well, that's right. Well, Open Office, I suppose. Google Docs. But, and as the inquiry said, you go into any small business, 98% of small businesses would have Office. They have to because it's the standard. They've got the market. Yeah. They charge what they want because they can. Now, that was, although not what the consumer wanted to hear, but geez, it was like a little breath of fresh air, wasn't it? Just being so upfront and honest. That's good. That's all I had to say. So anyway, Microsoft Sleuth got off the track. So the sleuths are out, and they've been cruising around down in Melbourne at the markets, and they've busted 4 pirates flogging DVDs loaded with Windows and Office software. Well, there you go. So, and why would people buy them from markets? I don't understand that. Of the 12 DVDs purchased, half failed to run. So the sleuths have purchased some. So I wonder, if they've purchased them, is that an infringement? If they've purchased them, they've bought a pirated copy sort of knowingly? Or I suppose they'd say, no, we bought it to see if it was pirated. But anyway,
what's probably happened, we've got them over here. We've got auctions that happen every so often where where businesses are either closed down or they're getting rid of old computers all in one hit. And you buy a computer for $100 and people, I don't do it. I mean, my boss sort of goes and gets a computer from an auction house every now and again, and he'll see people with bloody trolleys, shopping trolleys full of computers that they bought for $100 each, and then they open up their own little market thing and sell them for $200 each, and there's 100% profit.
But that's okay if it's the computer, and because that's fair enough. And you'd think that the Windows that's on it hopefully would be a licensed copy, or who knows, but obviously not. But anyway, I think this is more of, you know, car boot sales, and there's just like hundreds of DVDs just chucked in the boot, and they've all got Windows and Office on them. Some of the sleuths have bought 12. Half of them failed to run of the 12 that they bought. Some of the software appeared to be burnt copies of popular pirate torrents. One such torrent of Windows 8 saw users and crackers battle with Microsoft as it blocked registration codes and tactics to mitigate the activation process. The risks posed to consumers if they installed these counterfeit disks, and this is the problem with them, is not that you just can't activate and keep your security up to date, but they've got malware and stuff on them. So, you know, if you're going to do something like this and buy a $5 Windows or a $5 Office, you got to go, is this worth $165 down the track to get some guy in to reformat the whole computer? You know, or whatever, or you're going to spend all your day, a whole day, to reformat and put the proper stuff on again. But the risk posed to this is Microsoft here, a quote from Microsoft. The risks posed to consumers if they had installed these counterfeit disks include loss of sensitive data, substantial financial loss and costs, and a big waste of time. So it cited the 2013 IDC study, which claimed more than 3/4 of pirate software installed tracking cookies or spyware. So why bother? Should have just went out and bought the Windows 8 when it was $40. You know, that's all you had to do, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you had to do.
How's your Windows 8 going anyway?
Good. I'm not on it at the moment because I've got to boot up into Windows 7 for the show, just because of that sound issue that I've got. I don't have sound drivers, Windows 8 sound drivers for my motherboard. So I don't know. I can get the sound out of it, but the microphone won't work on the Windows 8. So
even the new microphone?
Oh no, the internal microphone. You know, like in the in the car. I've got on board, and I've got some cards in there. I don't know. But look, I've had mine now for a couple of years. You know, this little AMD, whatever it is, Phenom 3 whippy doo motherboard, and it's that's the technical term for it. And it was it's a couple of years old, so I'm probably going to be looking at another one fairly soon. Maybe when I get my car back. It's been a month, but anyway, enough about that, or I'll start crying. What else have you got there, Shayne?
All right, we'll go do an Apple story. We haven't done one of them tonight, I don't think.
No, not yet.
All right, so I might actually do the. I'll do the one where. Oh, yeah, I'll do the Bill Shock one.
Oh, all right, more Bill Shocks.
Yeah. Yes. Apple iPhone users urged to upgrade software after a glitch leads to Bill Shock. Australian, and this is courtesy of news.com.au, where I get most of my stories from. Australian phone carriers have warned iPhone users to update the smartphone software after paying out en masses, which I think is French for en masses, for excessive data downloads reportedly caused by Apple software faults. Now, just on this bit, I mean, you know, who's at fault? Is it Telstra? I mean, should they have to give the credits back, or is it Apple's fault, or is it the consumer's fault for not upgrading the software? Or
so so the original fault which affected some users. So this is when it first came out, I think.
Yeah,
and I think
apparently what happened was iOS 6 when that first came out, that caused the problem. And then that's why you've got like later upgrades. I think the latest one is 6.1.3 or something.
Oh yeah, I'm on 6.1.3 now. Look, this happened I think when it first came out. So there was instances apparently of increased data usage, just emanating from the phone, just emanating out without no knowledge. And I think Telstra, or whoever you were with, I think Telstra got their name in lights. They were actually giving a few refunds here and there. I'd say, I don't know, I didn't have a problem. I've only got a gig per month, and I didn't have a problem with that, with anything like that. Maybe there were some apps that were worse than others, but I don't know. I think telcos can give it back, can't they? It doesn't actually physically cost them anything. It's just a bit of a buzz in the air, isn't it? Just a bit of through the ether.
I suppose.
It doesn't really.
I mean, it
cost them anything.
Well,
Well, if you brought it, want to bring it down to, building antennas and building towers and all that, yes. But for a couple of little glitches here and there, goodwill should prevail. I think.
True.
I think so. Yeah,
I was a bit harder than that when I worked there.
Well,
I wouldn't have given it all back. I usually would have probably met them like halfway or something.
Yeah, well, that's and that's probably the big problem is you don't know how it occurred. Like, I don't know. You probably the phone company probably doesn't have a log, do they, on exactly what app on your phone or what function on your phone has actually downloaded these things. The data's
all they can tell is the time where you were. They can tell. I think they can tell where it was coming from, but they don't know whether that's because you're just a heavy gamer and you're always on that thing, or
well, that's right. That's right.
Or what the go is. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, 6.1.3. Make sure you're up to date. Now you got another one. Oh, what did you have another Apple one? Oh yeah, security experts. Oh, from that to
here, one I was trying to find. Next one down. There's the Microsoft one. I'll come back to that. Here we go. Security experts applaud Apple for the new two-factor authentication. So basically, up until this update, all they had was like a password. Now they've introduced what they call two-factor or multi-factor authentication, where they ask you for a password. I'll just read the story that this time came out of Computer World. Apple this week followed the lead of rivals like Facebook, Google, and Microsoft offering two-step or two-factor authentication to help customers secure their Apple IDs against hacking. The new feature is designed to block unauthorized changes to iCloud and iTunes accounts and keep hackers who steal Apple IDs from purchasing digital content or hardware using credit cards and stored customer credit cards stored in customer iTunes and Apple Store accounts. iTunes users in particular have complained for years that they don't have the option. It's not a by default kind of thing. It's at this point in time anyway, it's something that you kind of opt into because it's not for everybody. Two-factor authentication, sometimes called two-step verification, is a more demanding method of locking an account than password-only process. In enterprises, for instance, two-factor relies on hardware tokens that generate passcodes. We used to have them again in Telstra. We don't have them where I currently work.
Depends what you're doing, doesn't it? Like, depends. If you got secret squirrel stuff on your phone, well, you want to put as much as you can on it. But if you got, pictures of seals, well, why would you want, two-step authentication? Unless they're nude pictures of seals. All right.
Yeah. How Apple's kind of implemented this, and this is what they've been applauded for, really, is most of the time they send it out like to your mobile phone. But they've actually now incorporated or using their Find My Phone app, which then obviously sends them out like a code, which you then enter in, and there's your second factor of authentication.
Now we just had some late mail here from the lounge from Urban Kiwi NZ. He's just reading a Gizmodo article. This is in regard to an earlier story on the massive DDoS attack. He's reading a Gizmodo article saying that this is a whole bunch of PR overtype. Sounds like the story has two sides now. Well, there you go.
Yeah, right.
There you go. So who knows what happens out there in the big bad world, eh? Who knows? All right. So still to come. We're going to go, got some emails. We're going to talk to Milo. And I think that's about it. So why don't we go? Did you have any more stories?
I had just had a Microsoft one that we can take it or leave it.
Oh, we can do it quick. Microsoft confirms it's shut off Windows 8 Google Apps calendar sync. Well, that's no good. Why would they do that? Microsoft confirmed on Monday that Windows 8 users who upgrade the calendar app will no longer be able to synchronize. Well, you don't upgrade it then. What's the point? Anyway, Google's paying customers and those with business accounts will not be able to sync their calendars in the calendar app update. Calendar is one of 3 modern UI apps that Microsoft just upgraded for Windows 8 and Windows RT. The the same day the Verge ported the... Yeah, so that's no good. Oh, I heard that there's updates that are out for the Surface. I think they're first, like, major ones. So have a look at those.
No, as in like service pack or just a...
I didn't have a look.
Regular
I brushed over because I didn't have a Surface, but I saw that some updates were out, the first forum or something. So probably just a whole slew of them, just to, I don't know, trick things up a bit. All right, Runtastic. Where are we, Milo? He can call in now. 1-800 call me. Okay, so if you want to call in as well, and I think when Will comes back, he's going to be the Skype master. And if you just if you befriend Skype handle Aussie Tech Heads, you'll be right. And I think we got Milo on the phone. Let me push the right button. There we go. Hang on, I've got to turn that off. Milo on the phone. Hang on, we got a loop. Hey, Milo.
G'day, mate.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Chilling out.
Oh, good. So
As usual.
you're watching the footy?
I have it on my laptop so I can keep watching you guys.
Oh, good boy.
Which I've been doing for the last 6 odd years anyway.
That's right. Good stuff.
But it's the first time I remember them being on a Thursday night.
Oh, right. All right, now
Bit of a conflict of interest.
Oh, I know. Well, as long as you got it in the corner of the screen, that's all right.
Yeah. Oh, it's on the laptop. I just look over.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Shayne.
Hi, Milo. How you going?
Good. Awesome interview with Tom Merritt there, mate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get the rest of that, Milo, probably tomorrow from the web page.
Yep.
It gets better as it goes on.
Yeah, there's a lot more to talk about. There's another 40 minutes. It's great.
Very cool. Before we get into Runtastic and all that, I have to make a big recommendation to Aussie Tech Heads website hosting.
Oh, good stuff.
Even though I'm so excited to have another domain name, I haven't bought the company yet, but maybe one day.
Good. Maybe one day. You never know.
One day, and if I ever win the lotto, I'll build a Twitch-styled setup for you guys.
Oh, good on you, Milo. Thanks.
But anyone who's interested in getting a domain name, go for it, because these guys are awesome. Mine are www.miloguide.com and www.miloaviation.com.
Now, you're going to build that aviation one out for your flight simulating games?
Yeah, because I do a lot of flight simulating stuff with Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Oh, right. Good stuff.
I had a flight the other day with a guy from America and did that online. That was very cool.
Yeah, right. I'm not into the games. I've probably only just realised when you said that. You can simulate with another person. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he was in America, so I don't know what's about 7 or 8 hours time difference there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I can tell you exactly what the time difference is.
Shayne's been on him at US time for the last month doing all these interviews.
Oh, it's crazy. You have to do weird hours.
Yeah, I know. He's been working hard. Now you've got so you've got Runtastic.
Yeah, I thought I'd talk to you about a couple of things quickly. One was Runtastic, and I think recently you were talking about SimCity 5, which we'll just do a briefing of after. But with Runtastic, it's a bloody great app on Android and mobile, Apple. And it's funny, last week you were talking about it, and I liked it so much I ended up getting a pro version, and I forgot you guys were doing the competition.
All right. Oh, it doesn't matter because look, it is good. And what's it cost you? I think it costs about
$5-6, something like that.
Yeah, but it does everything, doesn't it?
It's brilliant. I mean, I had been sort of looking at getting like something like a Garmin watch or something, like to keep an eye on your heart rate and stuff when you're walking or riding, which I'm sort of slowly getting into. And I thought, since you guys were talking about this, I thought I'd check it out, and it's perfect.
Good. So you use it. So you do bike. You can do it with a bike ride. I think there's an app.
Do it with bike ride, skiing. I think. Where are the settings? There's all sorts of things that you can.
So you got the one where you like the GPS walking one.
Yeah, it's got GPS built into it because of the phone.
Because there's also a Runtastic road bike app as well. So they must.
There's all kinds of new stuff coming out now.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. But now tell me, are you going into the competition on March 31st?
What is that?
Well, the competition is, if you've already got that, well, you've downloaded your Runtastic Pro onto your smartphone, you go for a walk, a bike ride, for a minimum distance of 3 kilometres on March the 31st, 2013, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, your local time. And whoever gets the most cheers from friends and supporters. So you've got to log into the competition, and you can receive cheers from like friends who can tune in and see where you walk, and they go, "Come on, Milo, go, keep going, you're nearly there." And apparently, whoever gets the most cheers from friends and supporters wins a trip to Sydney. So that's all right. I know you're pretty close to it, but
I'm only about 2 hours away, so
yeah. But you probably get a
bit useless from me.
You get a hotel out of it though. A little hotel stay or something, room service. Ooh, how good would that be? But that's on March the 31st. And so look, I'm sorry I didn't get enough time to get to draw another 2 codes out on the show tonight, but I will do that, and I will contact the 2 winners after the show tonight via Twitter.
I just love the features in it because it's got your heart rate monitor, which I think you have to get like a thing that goes around your waist, but it's also got a built-in GPS, so you can see which way you're heading, like north, south, west.
Yep.
I like how you can set up all different voices on it.
Yeah.
You can set it up to give you intervals, like say you walked 1 point so many Ks or ridden Ks.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a really good little app. So we want to just thank Runtastic because for the whole month, they've given us codes to give away. So thanks very much. And next week, we're going to start on another month of stuff. And I think it's going to be a backup month. So getting back into the tech scene a bit. So we're going to make sure that everyone knows how to back up and so forth. And unfortunately, we don't have any backup prizes. But I've probably got a CD each week to give away.
You should do a SimCity or something like that.
Yeah, so quickly, tell us about your SimCity thing.
Yeah, I recently got SimCity 5 because I was a big lover of the SimCity 4, which was 10 years ago now. And I think everybody's known about the big kahunas about the server issues when the first week again it came out.
That's right.
I think the trouble with EA is I didn't think they had realised how much it meant to everybody and how popular it was.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have enough servers.
Because I think they apologised, didn't they, by giving the game away for free, the next version?
Yep, and I did that as well. I downloaded a free game, the new model. You had a choice of which games they put up, and so I got the new Modern Warfare or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good stuff.
And I tell you, it's addictive, this game.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why I've got probably no games at all on my computer except for solitaire. Yeah, because otherwise you'd just be playing games all day long.
I mean, I don't do it very often, but more likely on the weekends. And I started one night, and I was up started at 7 at night. Next thing I know, it's bloody 3 in the morning.
Oh, I know, it's crazy. Now are you still doing your radio?
Still doing Mixed Bag Radio. You can check that out every Friday nights. All my details on miloguide.com. So
good stuff. All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Milo. Thanks for visiting the
having me again, and keep up that great web hosting.
Oh, we will. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support, Milo. Good on you.
No worries.
Chat to you soon.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
Shayne. All right. So there goes Milo.
Yeah, Milo.
We'll just get rid of that other little window off the screen there. Good stuff. So he's a happy camper. So yeah, once again, thank you to the Runtastic guys. Now, before we go, we're over time again. I've got a couple of emails. Look, no, I should be reading these out a bit more often, but I normally you guys that email me know that I just respond to them as they come in. But look, I'm going to try and start reading a few more out. What do we got here? We've got here one here. We got where is it? Dave goes, hi, Mr. Goodman and gang. Loves the show. Good on you, Dave. Question for you guys is about video cameras. I want to start making my own video clips and properly edit them on a Mac, say the iMovie. What is and would be a good video camera to go with the iMac? Now, and there's a bit more. And Eric, you're a big fan, love what you do. So good on you, Dave. Now, the answer that I've come up with is well, not that I've come up with. I've scoured. I've put the tentacles out, and look, I've got myself. Depends what you want to do. So obviously you want to do some what are you doing? Video clips. So you want something pretty good. You want something like high definition camera. My information is a Sanyo, Sony, Panasonic, or GoPro. So it probably depends on what you want to do.
GoPro, really?
Yeah, GoPro. So they are pretty good. They are bloody good. Now, what are you? Yeah. So that's the next one. Hang on, I'm getting mixed up with them all. I should have put a space in. I'll put one in there. There we go. Now, so look, you could probably do that. You take your footage, and then normally most of the time you've got them. There's a hard drive in the camera now, I think. Yeah, and you can suck it out through USB. Mine's got USB 2. They're probably coming out now with USB 3. I'm not sure if Firewire, are they still doing Firewire? I used to love video cameras with Firewire. I really did, because you control the camera with your keyboard. And then, if they're USB, you can't do that. But I've got a little standard def camera, a little Canon that was Firewire, and geez, it was good. Well, it still is. I've still got it. But anyway,
that's what I use.
Yeah, little standard Canon standard def one. Yeah, they're good. They're good.
With the little door that kind of folds out inside.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So Dave Sanyo, and this ad came from Mark. So he used to work in all that sort of stuff, and he's got his iMac. He does his videos, and he suggested Sanyo, Sony, Panasonic, or GoPro. So I hope that's answered that question for you.
You know what else they could do?
What's
they
that?
could listen to the rest of the Tom interview, and he actually tells you what equipment he uses.
Oh, there you go. So get into that stuff. That's a good interview. What are you? This is from Mike. What are you using since you quit Google Notebook? It has been driving me nuts wanting to know ever since you mentioned it on your podcast. By the way, I'm in Adelaide. Okay, so hi, Mike. As I said to you, I think I replied to you. I'm just using Notebook. I'm using just Google Docs, just the normal document word processor thing. And for the reader, Google Reader, I've started using Feedly. So I don't know. It's been working for me so far. Some people don't like it. I don't mind it. I know there's a few out there. I did this. This is the first alternative that I tried. I stuck with it only because it works, and I can't be bothered, frankly, trying anymore. I haven't got time. So it worked for me, It brought the RSS feeds in, and it's all good. And also, shout out to Lindy, Mike's wife. So, hi, Lindy. Good stuff. Thanks for listening.
Hi, Lindy.
Thanks for listening. All right, I think, Shayne, how are you going with everything? I think that brings us to the end. Are we at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm done. I had a couple of backup stories, but I think
we're
we'll
done.
save them for another day.
Yeah, if you want to see Shayne's backup stories and others that didn't make the show, didn't make the cut, you can go to the AussieTechHeads.com.au and /podcast and have a look for those in the show notes. No Garth this week. Garth will be back next week, I think, with another great iOS review app. And also, don't forget the Tom Merritt interview from the specials section of the webpage, which will be live by the time you hear this. So that's good. All right. Thanks, Shayne.
Of course, you're listening live.
That's right. Unless you're listening live, it ain't done yet. But it will be once you get this in the iTunes. All right. So that's great. Now, I think in another couple of weeks, we're going to have your next interview, Shayne. So we'll be looking forward to that with bated breath to find out who that will be.
We're giving a hint, or we're not giving a hint?
Nah. Nah.
I'll give a hint. Abracadabra.
Okay, that's the hint. All right. Okay, so thanks, everyone. Got a lot of people to thank tonight, I guess. Thanks to everyone that emails. Thanks to everyone that listens, especially. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Shayne. Thanks, Runtastic. Cool. That's it. So if you want to contact us, you can find us on Twitter. Shayne's at Shayne with a Y 1973. I'm at Aussie Tech Heads. Will is at Mr. Tompkinson, and Eric at Eric with a K Franco. Now, Eric is just tied up with work. That's why he hasn't been here for the last couple of weeks. He will be back soon. Will should be back next week. Me and Shayne will be back next week, as usual. And what else? Emails, Glenn, Will, Eric, Shayne, or Garth at AussieTechHeads.com.au. So stop by the webpage, stop by the hosting if you want to have a look at some hosting. It's fast servers, I tell you, and they're all backed up or not backed up, but they're using that Cloudflare stuff as well. So that's all good stuff. That's all ridgy-did, yippity-doo-dah stuff. Okay, so thanks, Shayne. Until next week, it'll be bye for now. Ta-da!
Bye-bye.